108 Apparitions, True Paranormal Experiences from the World's Movie Stars. 1. Kat Dennings, The House That Watched. Kat Dennings, The House That Watched. Kat Dennings had always been drawn to the uncanny. Even before Hollywood found her, long before Two Broke Girls or Thor, she carried a fascination with things that couldn't be explained. Growing up in a Pennsylvania suburb surrounded by woods and winding roads, she described herself as a goth at heart, someone whose imagination lived halfway between Edgar Allan Poe and Twin Peaks. But it was the house that changed everything. Kat was 19 when she and her family moved into what she would later call the house that watched. It was tucked away in a quiet, forested part of the East Coast, a charming, colonial-style home with ivy curling around its brick exterior and wooden floors that whispered with every step. Her parents saw it as a peaceful new chapter. Kat, on the other hand, felt something else the moment she walked in. It wasn't evil, she said in an interview years later. It wasn't like, "Get out" vibes, but it was aware. It saw me. It felt like the house itself was watching. At first, it was little things. Doors creaked open on their own, even when all the windows were closed. Lights flickered occasionally, not in a way that screamed horror movie cliché, but just enough to give you pause. Then came the mirrors. Kat claimed she'd catch glimpses of something moving behind her reflection, shadows that weren't hers, presences that vanished when she turned around. "I used to joke with friends that my house was like the opposite of poltergeist," she said. "It wasn't loud. It was quiet, like it had secrets it didn't want to tell, but you still felt them." As the months went on, the activity intensified in subtle ways. One night, while home alone watching classic horror films, a habit she now questions, Kat heard the unmistakable sound of someone walking slowly up the staircase. She muted the TV and held her breath. The sound stopped. When she checked, no one was there. Every door was locked. She began to dread being alone in the house, not out of fear exactly, but out of an unshakable sense of being observed. The atmosphere in certain rooms became thick, like the air was holding its breath. Then came the dream. Kat recalled a vivid night where she awoke in bed, completely paralyzed, and saw a figure standing in the hallway. Not a ghost, not a man, something else. It was tall, pale, and slightly blurred, like a smudged memory in a Polaroid. It didn't move. It didn't speak. It only watched. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. I couldn't even blink. It just stared at me for what felt like hours. When she finally managed to move, the hallway was empty, but she found the door to her room wide open, even though she always locked it before bed. The house was feeding on attention, she later came to believe. The more she noticed it, the more it noticed her back. She started researching the history of the property. It turned out the land had once belonged to a spiritualist sect in the early 1900s, one that held seances in the woods and believed that certain homes could serve as conduits for the residues of the dreaming dead. Whether it was folklore or fact, it chilled her. "I never got hurt, but it never let me rest." One night, her mother, previously skeptical of anything paranormal, had her own encounter. She walked into the kitchen just after midnight to get a glass of water and stopped dead in her tracks. Every cabinet was wide open, every drawer, and the chandelier, which hadn't worked in years, was gently swinging. "It was like the house exhaled," Kat's mother would later tell a friend. "Like it was reminding us it was alive." Not long after, they moved out. Kat, already on her way to Hollywood stardom, never returned. But the impression the house left never quite left her. "It made me believe that buildings have memories," she said. "Some places don't forget you. They carry you like fingerprints." To this day, she still dreams of that hallway, of the figure, of the silence that had weight. She doesn't call herself psychic. She doesn't claim to know exactly what happened in that house. but she is sure of one thing. We think we're the only ones looking, but sometimes we're the ones being seen.